Hey everybody, good morning again. We're going to continue in our discussion of Luke chapter 22. So we ended in verse 31. So in verse 31, Jesus has just had the Last Supper. He's preparing for going to the garden, and it's very soon to his betrayal and arrest. And he says, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift all of you as wheat. And it's accurately translated all of you. It's plural. He's asked to sift all of you as wheat. So let's just talk about that for a moment. Satan has asked, and the word there asked, it's not just requesting. It's demanding. That's what the word is, a strong, emphatic word. It is Satan. He's demanding to sift all of you like wheat, right? So like wheat, like think about like gold mining, when you have gold in the pan, you're in the river and you're shaking it to get it to a sift. That's what he's talking about. He is asking to sift you like wheat, to rattle you, to shake you to the core, the foundation of your life. Which is, in one sense, again, here, remember the idea here is that God is sovereign. And that, when it says no temptation has seized you or come upon you except that which is common to man. And here I think it might be some of that as well. No temptation can come at you without God allowing it. Like nothing is going to slip by. And we know that. We know God is sovereign. Everything that happens. It's not that he's necessarily causing it and doing it to us, but he sees it. It affects him as well. He's not indifferent. But yet here again, Satan doesn't have free reign over the children of God. That's the encouraging thing here. Satan does not have free reign over the children of God. He can't just do to you whatever he wants to. He needs to have permission. And if he gets permission, you better believe it's because it's part of God's plan. Because even the Apostle Paul said that because of the great visions and things that he was experiencing in the Spirit of God, that it was given to him a messenger of Satan, a thorn in his flesh, 2 Corinthians, I believe, 11, or 10, to keep him humble. And 3 times he asked God to remove it. And each time God said, my grace is sufficient for you. So if there is a moment where Satan is allowed, or where it's either because God's allowed it because it has a purpose in your life, or secondly, because of sin in our lives, right? Because we open the door to the enemy and have allowed him a foothold and allowed sin to come in. So Satan has asked or demanding. He doesn't just want Jesus. He wants his followers. He doesn't just want Jesus. He wants his followers. He wants to do away with all of it. And he would take pleasure and delight in destroying God's people. That's why when it comes to the church and pastors and Christians, he wants to destroy our testimony, our reputation, our effectiveness in whatever way that he can. So, so you better believe as well. Like I've always thought, we have no idea as Christians. I know I'm kind of getting caught up on just one verse here, but we have no idea as Christians how often God's hand, God's angels are protecting us. I mean, we know that bad things happen to Christians, right? Christians have car accidents. Christians have illnesses. They get diseases. They get cancer. We know that those things happen. But I believe that there are so many things, so many of us that have not become ill, have made it home safely and not been in a car accident in the timing because of God's protection on us. So I hear this, but I understand, you know what? If it were up to Satan, he would be doing this every single day to every single one of us, right? That's what he wants. He's probably up there throwing a tantrum and a hissy fit right now saying, let me at him, God, let me at him, constantly demanding to be able to attack us. But God doesn't allow him. So, verse 32, but I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. So again, we're going to look at this. If I preach my sermon that I have intended for this coming Sunday, it'll be on this portion of this chapter, and on prayer, and on Jesus' response to prayer, and on the temptation that Jesus is referring to in chapter 22. But right here, but I have prayed for you, Simon. So Jesus' response to Satan wanting to attack them is to pray for them. And he doesn't pray that they be removed or that they don't go through the trial. He prays that he would be strong, that his faith would not fail. What does that mean? That his faith would not fail through the trial. There's faith, which is belief. And there's faith, which is like when we say, well, are you growing in the faith? And that means in what we believe and what the Bible says, and the tenets of our faith and of the truth of doctrine. That's one way. It's one way of using the word faith. Another thing is about belief, to believe. How much do we know? How much do we believe? Do we trust? And here, when it says that your faith may not fail, this is referring to in the light of trial. And the word trial and temptation in the New Testament is the very same word. Very same word. So every time it mentions to be tempted, it means to be tried. When Jesus went into the wilderness to be tempted, he went in and it says to be tried, to be tested. And actually the word tempted in the Old Testament is only translated tested. I think the King James might have tempted a few times, but if you look up in the NIV, you look up tempt in the Old Testament, it says tested. So when Satan goes to Adam and Eve, he's testing them with a temptation. It goes together. So here, that's why Jesus says, I've prayed for you that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. So the idea here again, when the temptation, the tempting that Peter's about to go through is going to be a trying time. So there's a part of temptation that is the alluring, right? The dessert, the desire, the pleasure. There's another part of testing that is the trial. That is when your world gets rocked, when you're shaken to the core. And there's a temptation to walk away, to deny God, to just say, to lose faith. So Jesus' response to him is that he would be strong in the moment of trial and not lose faith. And when you have returned back, strengthen your brothers. So we see here is that's insightful because we've heard this a lot, right? But that your experiences mean you can help others, and no one wants to hear that. No one wants to be abused so that now they can help people that have been abused. But it's a fact, and that's what Jesus is saying here. Once you have come back, right, strengthen your brothers. The trials that you go through prepare you and equip you to strengthen others that are going through trials and hard times. So it's a fact. What we have experienced, the difficulties, they prepare us to be able to strengthen and help others when they're down, when they're going through a hard time. So that's something to point out. I think we could probably end there, and we'll pick it up tomorrow, Friday, as we continue Luke chapter 22. Okay. All right, everybody. God bless you. See you soon. Keep sharing, keep praying, and let's see God bring revival to our country and our nation. God bless.